What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Thursday's The Watchtower. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a couple weeks. I apologize. The holidays definitely got the better of me. I was sick a couple times, but that's okay. We got a lot to talk about since we last came together around the table. There's a lot of Batman stuff going on. I think that's what we're really going to talk about mostly is Batman, but there's been some other things. So we'll get into it, obviously. So welcome all to the Watchtower. Let's kind of get into it here. Let's see who we have here today, right now, so far. All right, Derpy Entertainment. There's the man of the hour, the man with the power, Slav. What's going on? I see in the chat, a lot of you, we got Hope for Life here, Jay Burns. All we're talking about Batman. Who's going to be Batman? Who could play Batman? I see people like Jake Gyllenhaal and Glenn Powell. So many names, so many different names, so many possibilities of who could play Batman. It's interesting. That's for sure. There's a lot of Batman talk, a lot of Batman news that came over the last couple weeks. A lot of questions, a lot of teases, a lot of information. So we're going to talk about it all. Don't worry. We will talk about all of that. But I want to touch on some other things because it wouldn't be a Watchtower if it wouldn't be a Watchtower if we didn't talk about stuff. I do also want to talk about my cat just knocking stuff off of the top of the fireplace. But it also wouldn't be a Watchtower if I didn't talk about some other things. But I do want to talk about what I think are going to be. There's 4 big comic book movies coming out in 2025. And I kind of wanted to rank what I think they're going to finish. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 for the box office. I thought that this would be a good place to do it because on my normal show next Monday, I'm going to talk about I believe it's top 5 or 6 movies that are going to, I believe, have a chance. I'm not saying they will, but the top 5 movies that have a chance to break $1 billion. And today I want to talk about the 4 movies, comic book movies, superhero movies that I think how they're going to rank when all is said and done come the end of the year. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what's crazy is they're all coming out by the end of July. So we'll know the answer to this by the end of July, essentially, or end of August, really. But I want to talk about that today as well. Even though one of them is only DC, I get that, but I wanted to do that on this show. All right. Trayvon says, come here, kitty, kitty, kitty. No, that kitty's an asshole. I don't want that cat to come over here. Although she might jump up on here because she is an asshole. So you never know. Derpy says, your cat wants roll in the DCU. It's throwing its frustration angrily. Yeah, that's what's going on. Mano's time is here. Hey, Slav, Happy New Year. Yes, Happy New Year to all. It is now the year of Superman 2025. We are just 6.5 months away, guys. 6.5 months away until we get Superman. It's exciting. It's exciting times. All right, let's move over. The first thing I like to do, and like I said, when I get a chance to do it, I like to do this. And I'm going to show off some fan art of different things. So with the news the other day of Lobo, which obviously that was the big news this past week, was Jason Momoa is officially cast as Lobo earlier this week. That was announced. Supergirl is due to go into production on January 13th. Now, this little fan art was posted on December 17th, but it's kind of a play on the poster for Superman with Millie Alcock as Supergirl. Really cool little fan art. It's Johnny Geek art. It's just really cool. Like I said, I love to show fan art when I get a chance to. We got this here. The Daily Kryptonian on Instagram shared this. Art by Samuel the Artist. I think this is really cool. Little art piece here. Again, I love to show fan art. I want people to be highlighted. They're showing their love for the upcoming DCU. That is what the Watchtower is all about, is just showing the excitement, your excitement for what is going on in the DC realm. And that's what I'm doing here. So if you see fan art, if you want to show fan art, pass it along. We got this here, another piece of fan art of all the different types of Supermen that have graced our screens and our comics over the last 80 years, 80 plus years. This is a beautiful picture, and obviously David Cornsweet is taking the stage front and center right here. I thought this was a really cool picture as well. And one more here. The Cultured Universe shared this art by Ultra Raw 26 on Instagram. This is inspired by Alex Ross. David Cornsweet doing the famous pose of ripping his shirt open, exposing the S. Another great picture. So, again, I love to highlight and showcase the art that people want to create because they're so inspired and excited about what's going on with DC. Again, that's the fun about being a fan of this type of stuff. That is the fun that we should all be experiencing right now. We shouldn't be so focused on fighting with each other and hating with each other and everything like that, or trying to bring people down. We shouldn't be focused on, oh, I don't like the trunks on Superman, or this suit looks terrible, or that kind of stuff. No, we should be looking at the positive side of things. We should be looking forward to what the possibilities are with the DC universe. And these people are doing that. They're looking at the future and showing their excitement through what they're good at. And whether it is, art, or whether it is doing what we do here, talking about it on YouTube or through a podcast, it's the way to do it. So that's what I wanted to do here to start the show. I'm excited. And you know who else is excited? A lot of people are excited because IMDb is stating and showing that Superman is the number one most anticipated movie of 2025. Is anybody surprised about that? Anyone? Anyone surprised? I'm not surprised. That trailer was phenomenal, and if that trailer doesn't show you the excitement, let's look at it here. Number one, it's what, like the fifth most viewed trailer within the first 24 hours of any movie ever. Not to mention all the records that it's broken for Warner Brothers and DC. I mean, it has broken records. It is a major deal with it. Now, does that mean that this movie is going to be a massive success? No, that's not what it means. But it's showing that there is hype for this film. And that is what is so exciting about it. That is what is getting me excited about it. That is what is, I don't know what else to say. People want to see this movie. People are excited about it because if they didn't want to, they probably would have watched it once, or they probably wouldn't have even cared to watch the teaser trailer. But they were excited to watch the teaser trailer. They went and watched the teaser trailer, and there was a lot of positive discussion around the teaser trailer. That is what is so reinforcing about everything that's going on right now. Don't listen to what people are saying about, oh, well, there was a screening done by James Gunn, and there's bad word out of it. Look, if there's a screening done 7 months before the movie comes out, number one, that's exactly what a screening 7 months before a movie comes out is supposed to be about. If you're having a screening 7 months beforehand and you're not being told that there's some issues that need to be fixed with it, maybe there's more problems than the movie, that you have problems with the people you're having watching the movie, because you want people to tell you that there's issues with it. But number two, I don't believe these scoopers, because the people that James Gunn has around him watching this movie, he has talked about how they are very trustworthy to him. They're people that he trusts and are very close to him. I highly doubt that these people went and talked to people like Jeff Snyder. So regardless, do I believe that there's things that they have to fix in post and in editing after the screening? Absolutely. As there is with any movie that you watch. Do I think it's detrimental? Do I think that it's going to be huge issues for the movie, that it's going to cause the movie to fail? No, not at all, because this is how every movie goes through its process. You have screenings with people close to you, with film, with the producers and everything like that, and you go through this process to get the film nice and tight. That's what you do. It's not like like the people that are trying to hammer this movie down are the people that want to see James Gunn and the DCU fail. Plain and simple. That's what it is. And if people want to sit there and say, "Oh no, Jeff Snyder doesn't have anything against James Gunn," blah blah blah, look a little more into him, and you'll see that that's not true. That he does have an issue with him, and you could just look at his tweets and the way he talks about James Gunn and the DCU over the last few months. You can plainly see he has an issue with him, and you can see that there is this weird desire to see DC fail for some reason, and I don't get it. I don't understand why there's a group of scoopers and pundits that want to see it fail. It's really bizarre. I get that there's fans that want to see it fail, and I think that's partially what it is. That there's these pundits and scoopers that want to get the attention of those specific fans, and they want to get those fans on their side because it means money for them. And I think that's partially what it is, but I don't understand completely why they want to go all in on that. Now, I've seen some scoopers try and play both sides, and that's not getting them anywhere. You have to pick a side here, obviously, but when it comes down to it, you see the hype around this movie. For anybody who's not an idiot, they understand how the process of making a movie works. We know that yes, they're going to have screenings. We know that there's never a perfect screenings, especially 7 months before the movie comes out, especially 3 months after they finish filming. We know that they're going to have to go back and re-edit some things, re-tinker around and do some things differently here and there. Yes, they're going for pickup shots. Yes, they're going to retool some things. They're going to have additional screenings. Things are going to come together more between now and July. It's that simple. But that doesn't take away from the fact that this is the number one most anticipated movie on the list for IMDb, followed by 28 Years Later, which I still don't understand why people want to see 28 Years Later so badly. They're okay zombie films, but I thought the zombie genre was kind of like dying off now. But hey, it is what it is. Fantastic Four being the number three, in the number three spot, that makes sense. But I kind of thought that would be number two. How to Train Your Dragon, not shocking. But I honestly thought that there would be another live action remake on this list in place of that. I actually thought Stitch would be there, Lilo and Stitch. Thunderbolts being number 5 is kind of shocking. Captain America, again, not shocking. I thought that would be on there. Snow White, I can't believe made that list. Jurassic World makes sense. The Minecraft movie is kind of shocking because I think that movie is going to just crash and burn. And Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, I'm not shocked at that, especially because there's talk about this being the final Mission Impossible. This list is really cool. I like the list. But fact of the matter, Superman is number 1 on it, and that is phenomenal and fantastic. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I think you all do too. All right, what do we got over here? Man, I'm just gonna pick comments here and there, guys. Sorry. Jay Burns says they could put him in a potato sack. I don't care. We're getting a new Superman movie. I think you're talking about the suit. Is that what you're talking about? Hope for Life says, I love when you start the Watchtower with this. Gives hope that the future DC is brighter than it has been before. It is. That's the thing. What I tell people constantly is you take a look at what DC was prior to this, regardless of what you think of James Gunn and Peter Safran. I don't care what you think about them. DC has never been in a more stable position than it is right now. It never has been. I'll take it a step further. Okay. Sure. When it was under Christopher Nolan, or it wasn't even under Christopher Nolan, you had Christopher Nolan making Batman movies. Okay. But even then, Warner Brothers didn't know what they were doing because they had Christopher Nolan doing Batman movies. They tried to have Bryan Singer do a Superman movie. Then they were trying to have Frank Miller do Justice League Mortal, and they were going to have 2 different Batmans and 2 different Supermans, and they were like just a hodgepodge of the mess going on there at the same time. So even at that time, they didn't really know what they were doing. Then you go back even further. They were going to do a Batman versus Superman movie back when Will Smith's I Am Legend was being made, and that didn't happen. That didn't work out. You go back to the 90s, you take a look at the Batman and Robins and the Batman Forevers. And sure, I love Batman Forever, but that was like the time period I was a little kid and it worked for me. The bright lights and the fun and yeah, okay, whatever. But you take a look, you go back through these generations, nothing when it comes to DC films has ever been as stable and as really like straightforward as it is now. They have a studio, they have studio heads who have a plan, who are moving forward and understand what they're doing. They have a path. And not only that, there is confidence in what they are doing. And that is what is exciting. Look, I get that when Zack Snyder was there, I get that he had a plan as well. I get it. And you or some others may have thought that his plan was better. But that doesn't mean that the DC brand and film universe at that time was better off, because it wasn't. You take a look at all the backstabbing, you take a look at all the crap that was going on behind the scenes. There was not a good footing for that universe because of what was going on at the studio. But you take a look at today, DC Studios and the DC brand, when it comes to films, is in a better place than it has ever been before. And you take a look, Creature Commandos is fantastic. Superman, people are excited about it. Look, the fact that this Superman trailer has done as well as it has, and that the trailer views are in the top 5 in the first 24 hours. The trailers that it's matched up with, which is like what No Way Home, Endgame, Deadpool and Wolverine, like it's in that pantheon of films. What do all those movies have in common? They all hit that $1 billion mark. I'm not saying that Superman's going to hit $1 billion, but what I'm saying is there's that same type of excitement and curiosity that those movies had. And that is very important and that is very interesting, because if you can build off of that between now and when that movie comes out, well, you might have $1 billion movie on your hands. If not a billion, well, damn close to it. And that is a huge, huge step in the right direction for DC. Trayvon says 2 billion awaits. I don't know about that. Oh, man. Whoa, Trayvon says, no kidding, Slav. Andre of Midnight's Edge was saying exactly what you just said. These screening reactions are normal. Again, you're saying these screening reactions are normal. These type of reactions are normal. We don't even know if these reactions are true because, like I said, I don't believe that these people that are close to James Gunn would go to someone like Jeff Snyder and tell them this stuff. Maybe they did. Maybe they did. I just don't believe that they would. And even if it wasn't like that, because even Jeff Snyder is like, I had a person tell me that a person told me or told him that this person said this. Like, it's like a game of telephone for like 5 people that got back to Jeff Snyder. So how accurate is it? And then you hear John Roca say, well, I was told by this person who told me that this person said that it's like the first Captain America and the Mummy movie, which are 2 totally different types of movies. And it's like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, there's so much about this story and these 2 conflicting reports on the same show that none of it really makes sense. And here's the thing, you want to believe Jeff Snyder? Go ahead, believe Jeff Snyder. I don't believe him. I don't like him. I think he's a snob. I think he's not trustworthy at all. You can believe him if you want to. But honestly, I mean, even if they are true, these are the type of things that you hear or would expect to hear out of a screening 7 months prior to a movie, because you're trying to get the best movie you can. And you want to hear these types of things now as opposed to 2 or 3 months before the movie. Like, if we were hearing these in May or in April, yeah, I'd be worried and I'd be like, okay, now we should worry. But we're talking about this screening happened apparently in late November, early December. Come on. Let's see. Jay Burns says, Because it's not what they want, got over it. Let's be excited for this. Seeing Superman get so much love brings a tear to this Superman fan's eye. Yes. Trayvon says the only reason ingrates like Snyder hate James Gunn DCU is truly because they have it in for David Zaslav, aka the Hollywood Renegade. Critic Chris says Superman may not make $1 billion, Man of Steel didn't. Heck, Gunn's first Guardians of the Galaxy made more than Man of Steel. That says something. Yes, you're not wrong. Jay Burns says $1 billion is a weird goal to me. I've seen a few $1 billion movies that I didn't enjoy, then saw a $350 million that I loved. I don't think $1 billion should be the benchmark. Well, it's a benchmark for some people, and I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not something that DC Studios and Warner Brothers would not love to see, because absolutely they would love to see it. I'm not going to sit there and say that that's their goal, though. I think they have a goal in mind, a realistic goal. I think they have a goal that they say, if it hits this mark, perfect. That's what we want to see. This is the next goal we want to see. This is the next goal we want to see. But they have a goal that they're like, we want it to hit this mark for it to be quote unquote successful. We wanted to hit this mark for it to be overly successful. We want to hit this mark, that kind of thing. That's what they have in mind. But I've said it so many times before that this movie is not simply about making money. Yes, every movie needs to make money. And yes, they want this movie to make money. But the idea is that this is an investment for the DCU. Yes, they want this movie to succeed, but this movie is about regaining the confidence in DC by the audience. They want the audience to gain that confidence in the DCU to come back. So the idea is, let's get this movie out with Superman. Let's make it a good movie. Let's get people to enjoy it and make them want to enjoy and come back to DC and start watching DC again. If that means this movie only makes $600-700 million, then that's what that means. But then if they come and watch Supergirl and that movie makes $700 million, awesome. And then if the next one makes $750-800 million, awesome. And then it continues to build, that's what they want to see. But if this movie makes $200-300 million and then Supergirl makes $200-300 million, well, then you start to see, no, we can't get the audience back. The audience is checked out. They don't want DC. DC is done. All they want are Batman movies. But that's not going to happen. We know that's not going to happen. We know that this movie, there is the excitement for this movie. People are going to go watch this movie. This movie is going to make money. It's just now, how much money is it going to make? And if it is good enough, how much excitement is going to be behind it, to how much money will it make, and will it continue on to get people excited about the overall universe? Let's see. And Trayvon says, don't look now, but Batman Forever is a 30-year-old movie this year. Yeah, don't tell me. Don't remind me. Oh, man, I'm old. Jay Burns says, 12-year-old me saw that in theaters and loved it. Yeah. Did I see Forever in theaters? Yeah, I saw Forever in theaters. Did I see Forever in theaters? I can't remember if I saw Forever in theaters. I saw Batman and Robin in theaters. That was a terrible choice. I had a choice to see Batman and Robin in theaters. I think it was Batman and Robin or Good Burger. I think it was Good Burger. My brother took me to the movies, and I chose Batman and Robin over Good Burger. Chris said, love the 60s Batman, not ashamed of it. I like both DC and Marvel. Heck yeah, man. Adam West Batman was awesome. I used to sit on my dad's lap watching reruns of it. It was awesome. Eating cookies. Hungry Almighty, what's going on? The only thing I'm worried about with the DCU Batman, I hope we don't have to wait too long for the DCU Batman because of the Reeves Batman. Other than that, I'm overall super confident in the new universe. Well, let's see. What is my next topic? Oh, man, I just got rid of it. What's my next topic here? Oh, it is the DCU Batman stuff. All right. So James Gunn does talk a little bit about the DCU Batman. Now, I don't know if you know this, but there it is. In Creature Commandos today, Batman shows up. Here's spoilers. I'm sure it's all over the internet. If you haven't seen it yet, you must live under a rock. There's a scene in Creature Commandos where Batman confronts Dr. Phosphorus. He confronts Phosphorus, and this is the scene. This is what you see. You see a silhouette of Batman in the window, and that's what you see. Now, after that came out, let me get rid of all these tabs that I don't need anymore. After that came out, people were like, "Oh, what does this all mean?" So, let me want to share the audio. That's not what I wanted to do. What just happened? That is not what I wanted to do at all. Sorry, guys. I screwed that up. Man. What is this from? Man. Let's go back here. That's why. Okay. I can't share the audio. Oh, well. So, anyways, let's go back to sharing this. Anyways, so James Gunn basically says that when they showed this scene, they showed him, and he wanted to make sure that they didn't show too much of the suit, so he kept saying more silhouette, because he didn't want to commit to the look of Batman at that point in time. He's like, more silhouette, more silhouette. So that's number one. Number two, they ask him, what Batman is this? And he goes, well, it's the DCU Batman. But then he goes on to explain how much he loves Batman. He says, look, I love Batman, and we're going to get Batman right. We're going to do Batman. He's important to the DCU. He's very important to the DCU, just as Superman is important to the DCU. I can't wait for you to see Batman in the DCU alongside Superman and together. So people are loving hearing that kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff you want to hear, is talking from James Gunn. And it's exciting because we're going to see a lot of it. So my question is, because he says we don't need to hear the origin story again. Also, he didn't mention that. So my question is this: when it comes to Batman, I wonder if James Gunn is the one writing Brave and the Bold. And I say that because over the last couple weeks now, really last week and a half, there's been this ongoing discussion and crazy stuff going on when it comes to the Brave and the Bold. You had Andy Muschietti come out and say, well, I think it's been postponed or something like that. And then James Gunn comes out and goes, no, it's not delayed. First off, nothing can be delayed without a release date. There's no release date, so it's not been delayed. So I think Andy Muschietti just doesn't quite understand. Maybe it's postponed for when their tentative start date was on filming, but not postponed for being released, of course. But James Gunn in the last month or so has stated they don't have a script that they're happy with yet. But he's also stated recently in the past few weeks that he started working on a new, he was getting ready or just started working on writing the next script that he was going to be doing, next project he was working on, or something like that. Could it be Brave and the Bold? Now, I'm not saying he's going to direct it. I think Andy Muschietti is still going to direct it. But what if, because he hasn't been happy with what they've seen from the scripts that have come in for Brave and the Bold, that now that he's pretty much done with the heavy lifting for Superman, he's just going to sit down and write it. And he'll write Brave and the Bold. Excuse me. And then he's just going to hand it off. Hey, we're good with this. Here you go, Muschietti. Run with it. Direct this movie. That would be interesting. Now, obviously, there's so much more that's going off of this picture and off of what we saw on Creature Commandos, because everybody's now like, well, he says it's not it's the DCU Batman, so obviously it's not Pattinson. I'll take a look. He's really big and bulky. Some people say they can see that he's wearing trunks here. I don't see the trunks. I know some people say there's trunks there. I don't see them. But they're saying he's big and bulky, so it can't be Pattinson. All this kind of stuff's going on here. Personally, I think that you shouldn't read too much into this. I think the biggest thing is he didn't want to show what the suit looked like, because he didn't want to commit to a suit idea just yet, because he wants that, I think, to be for live action when they finally reveal that. The bulkiness, the bigness, it's a cartoon. So obviously you can over exaggerate the size of somebody in a cartoon. I mean, let's face the facts. You take a look at someone like in Creature Commandos, the Bride, uh, when you have what's her name, Indira Vera, whatever her name is. If she comes to live action as the Bride, she's not going to look that skinny. You know, you take a look at Frankenstein. David Harbour's a big guy, but he's not going to be as ginormous as Frankenstein. There's different things you can take a look at and see, you know, when it comes from cartoon, animation to live action, you take some liberties. Things will be look a little different than they do in live action. So I don't take this over bulking size of Batman saying, oh, that's the kind of build that Batman will 100% be in live action. But I also don't say that that's not going to be, because it could be. They could go that route. But I'm also not sitting here saying, oh, they're definitely going that direction. So that's one. Number two, the Pattinson thing, people need to put it to rest. They need to put this Pattinson thing to rest 100%. Done, finite, put it away. It's done. It's over with, people. Look, this thing happened, what was it, a week and a half ago. Matt Reeves, yes, the movie got delayed till 2027. James Gunn has stated multiple times it is an Elseworld story. Elseworlds. He's focusing on telling Elseworld stories as much as he is the DCU. And that Matt Reeves' Batman is Elseworlds. He's mentioned it multiple times. That's it. Final, finite. That is what it is. People need to just leave it be at this point. I'm not saying that this scene here states or is signifying that. No, I'm saying what James Gunn has said signifies that. If you want to say this scene does too, sure, go ahead. But I think it's time to just put it to rest. Time to put it to rest, people. Man, okay. What do you guys got? Hope for Life says it seems like Absolute Batman body in a way. It kind of does look like Absolute Batman in a little way, just a little bit. Trayvon says, to all those who swore up and down, oh man, that Gunn was going to make Batman a joke. Here's a proof that he isn't. He could have easily made Batman say ready to believe in good, but he didn't. Do you bleed? Man Who Has Time says that Batman aura, though. Critic Chris, I don't even want to see flashbacks of Batman Origins. It's been done in Burton, Schumacher films. Nolan covered it. Snyder's shown it. Did the Batman? Only seen that once. I don't think the Batman did. I saw it more than once, but really one time fully. Oh, man. My throat. You gotta stop. All right. I don't know if the Batman... I don't think the Batman did. Hope for Life. Damn, that would explain why Andy is currently going to do another film before doing Brave and the Bold. I mean, that could be what it is. Again, Andy may not have time to do another film. He said that he may have time to do another film. Like James Gunn could write Brave and the Bold. He could start writing it tomorrow and just get on a roll with it and get it done by the end of the month and be like, hey, Andy, here it is. Get to it. And Andy doesn't get a chance to make that other film. I mean, who knows? Like, we don't know what James Gunn's process is, and we don't know how much of the other scripts he would use from it or for it. We don't know any of that. And again, this is just me speculating, too. We don't know if James Gunn is even doing that. It's just a theory because, one, James Gunn is such a big fan of Batman. And I started thinking about this when he was sitting there in that interview talking about how much he loves Batman, how much he wants to make sure it gets done right, and how much he can't wait for everybody to see Batman in the DCU. So it started making me think, well, maybe he's working on it and he has more hands-on with the Brave and the Bold than we all originally thought. And maybe he's going to try and push and get this done fast now. And they may fast track this, because if they wanted to have the Batman 2 out in 2026, and they probably wanted to have Brave and the Bold 2027, but if Batman's getting pushed to 2027, they may want Brave and the Bold out 2026 now. So they may try and like flip it and fast track Brave and the Bold, because I don't think they want to wait and push Brave and the Bold to 2028. I can't imagine they want to do that. Just some things that were going through my head today. Hope for Life. However, wouldn't that just take away from Andy's creativity if he's directing the script that Gunn wrote for him? I don't think Andy's writing this at all. I thought he was. I swear I remember reading a while ago that he was involved with the writing, but then I was talking to a buddy of mine who says no, because he was so busy with Welcome to Derry, he wasn't brought on to write. He was just brought on to direct. So maybe that's it. Maybe that's all it is. Critic Chris says, I hope DCU's Batman isn't bulky, just not a fan. It may look good on comic pages, but just ain't realistically appealing to me. Yeah, I mean, I didn't mind Affleck. I thought he fit it perfectly. I don't mind. I trust whichever way they go. I just don't want a rubbery suit. That's all. I just don't want no rubbery suit and no motocross suit. Trayvon says the Batman didn't feature any scene that focused on Batman's origin. Speaking of which, even Gotham and Batman Mask of the Phantasm show Batman's origin. Jay Burns says, but gun lies all the time. Is that good enough? Yeah. Don't start with that crap. Hungry Almighty. When can we realistically expect the DCU Batman Brave and the Bold, since Reeves Batman 2 is 20? I was just kind of saying, I can realistically say 2026. I say expect an announcement probably come March. That's my anticipation. Come March, by March, there'll be some sort of announcement, no later than March, about Batman, Brave and the Bold. And I have a feeling it'll be releasing October of late third, fourth quarter of 2026. That's my guess. Man. Jay Kelly asked Andy to direct Clayface. No, I don't think so. And honestly, I could see Clayface maybe getting pushed to earlier or pushed forward to later to fit Brave and the Bold in there. Like they may put Brave and the Bold in that spot maybe, and they'll move Clayface to fit Brave and the Bold there maybe. That's a possibility. Hungry Almighty. My hope is Brave and the Bold late 2028, shortly after Dynamic Duo. We have Teen Titans late 2028 with a DCU Batman end credit scene. 2028, I think, is too late. I don't think they want to wait until 2028 for Brave and the Bold. I think Zaslav wants a Batman now, and I think that Gunn was holding Zaslav off, saying, look, we got Batman 2 in 2026. My Batman will be 2027. And to hold him off until then, he'd be like, I think he was kind of like, hey, I'll be putting things throughout until then. But now I think he has to change it up a little bit, honestly. Jay Burns says, I thought Flanagan was going to direct Clayface, or did he just write it? He wrote it. I don't think he's directing. I think he just wrote it. Oh, man. Hungry Amadi says, the second Superman is done, Batman is the next logical step. Yeah, pretty much. Hope for Life. Great impression as always. Well, thank you. All right. What do I got next on? Jeff Snyder. I was just talking about him a little bit ago. So viewer anon, I don't know who this guy is, says, anyway, I find the silhouette analysis particularly funny because I think Pattinson will end up being the DCU Batman, and he's not going to be. But Jeff Snyder being salty as always, don't listen to me. Trust the millions of insiders on the internet who think a cartoon that no one is watching has all the answers. First off, a lot of people are watching Creature Commandos. People love Creature Commandos. It's been fantastic. It's been a lot of fun. But again, he's just being salty. That's all he is doing. He loves to be salty. He loves to just pick and pick and pick. And people just, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand why he has to be so salty. I just don't get it. Hungry Almighty. I see what you mean, Slav. 2026 Brave and the Bold, and then after that, Gunn can work on Dynamic Duo and Teen Titans, all the while Reeves can work on finishing his trilogy. Honestly, I don't think Gunn is going to be heavily involved with Dynamic Duos. I think he'll be involved, but I think he's going to be like, hey, like, yeah, he'll sign off on the story and sign off on that stuff, but I don't think he's going to be writing the story. I don't think he's going to be like involved like a director would be. I think he'll take more of a Kevin Feige approach where he's just the producer. He'll sign off on the story, get the, you know, the dailies and stuff like that. But I don't think he's going to be as heavily involved as you would think. That's an animation, like that's a new animation style that they're doing, the puppetry and animation stuff. I'm sure he's going to be curious and interested to see how it's going, but yeah, I think he's going to stick really heavily with the regular animation. Obviously, Creature Commando season 2. I think honestly, honestly, James Gunn is nuts because of everything he's been doing, and I know that we've all speculated on what he's been doing and what he's doing, but I honestly see things going like this right now because we know that Creature Commandos got greenlit for season 2. But we also know that we need a Batman Brave and the Bold movie. I have a feeling that James Gunn is going Brave and the Bold. He's going to write that. I think he's going to write that. And then he's going to write Creature Commando season 2. And then he's going to jump over and write The Authority. And either direct The Authority or pass that off and then jump to the next Superman movie. I just have a feeling that's how it's going to run. But I think the next two things that he's going to do is write Brave and the Bold and Creature Commando season 2. Boom, boom, back to back. And then he may, The Authority, if it does get pushed to being an animated show, that like it's been rumored, that could be an easy thing for him because then he won't have to direct it. So he could write those 3 things and then jump over to doing a Superman 2, and then maybe after that, doing something else. I don't know. But I think he's going to be heavily involved in directing and writing. I think he's going to be writing more than directing for the DCU, a whole lot more. And I think that's a good thing because he's such a good writer. But especially at the beginning here, we're going to see him writing quite a bit to get everything established and set. And we see this issue right now with Batman Brave and the Bold, and it's like we need to get it done. And who's the best person to do it? Well, James Gunn's probably the best person to write it. And he's going to write it, and then he's not going to direct it. I think they're going to let Muschietti direct it. But then he's got to jump over and write Creature Commandos. And then you got to move on, and then you have to do the next thing. He doesn't do the directing of Creature Commandos. He lets his animators and everybody do that. So at that point, he's moving on to the next thing, and he can just kind of flow through that way. And whether it's Superman at that point or Justice League or wherever they're at in the universe by that point in time, hey, you just keep moving forward. But I think Brave and the Bold, Creature Commandos, and go from there. I think those are his next 2 things he's going to work on. I think that's best, honestly. Jay Burns says, you've been pretty spot on so far. You sure DC Studios doesn't have you bugged or at least watch the Watchtower? They may watch the Watchtower. They might. Although they might be afraid to talk to me publicly because I do get a little wild on social media sometimes. But hey, it is what it is. Hope for life. Haters going to hate no matter what. That's facts. Jay Kelly. I don't want James writing everything. His influence is needed as an overseer. You're not wrong, Jay. And that's why I think early on he's going to have more writing duties early on. But I also think that his skill set is a writer. That is his best skill set. I think he's a really good director. He really is a good director, but he is a better writer than a director. I mean, there's nothing, I've never heard anybody really complain about his writing, and that's really what he excels at. So if he goes on and writes out of the first, 10 big, 12, like the first dozen projects for the DCU, if 4 to 6 of those he wrote, I'm not going to be mad about it, because he's the one setting up this universe, and he's the best man to do that, and he's a damn good writer. I'm not saying I want him to direct all of those 4 to 6 things that he wrote, but if he wrote 4 to 6 of them, I'm not mad about that. And honestly, so far he's done Superman, he's done Peacemaker, he's done Creature Commandos, and that's 3 already. Out of 3 out of what, 5 now, because it's that. Then we got Lanterns and Supergirl. So 3 out of the 5 so far he has written already. But that's still not a bad thing, because he is a damn good writer. So if you add in Batman and you add in Creature Commando season 2, and then if Superman is as good as we're all expecting it to be, if he's the one that does Superman 2, what the hell? Why not? I mean, let's keep it going. That's all. Critic Chris says he's not to Jay Kelly. Jay Burns says maybe it's just to help set the tone for a bit. And that's what I'm saying. I think it's to help set the world, set the tone. And once, I hate to put it this way, but once they get money rolling in, and I hate to put it this way, but they need to have money rolling in. Once they have money rolling in, then they'll be able to hire more writers, and not just hire one writer at a time for one project at a time. Then they can hire multiple writers and different writers for multiple projects and different things. So that way they're not only putting out, 3 projects, like running with 3 projects. Like, let's see which one of these 3 projects is right first. Then they could start. All right, we got 6 projects or 7 projects. Okay, we'll pull from this one here. That kind of thing. Hope for Life. Jay Burns, I could see that, but I feel like it would be more fast tracking the DCU. Yeah. All right. So we can keep talking about this, but I do want to talk about what I think will be the top 4 films of comic book movies of the year when it comes to 2025. So what I want to do is I am going to just go through it. I'm going to go 4 to 1. Like I said, there's 4 big comic book movies coming out in 2025. And I know they're not all DC, but one of them is. So I thought you guys would like me to rank them and to see where I think the DC movie will rank when it comes to those top, or those 4 comic book movies. So I'm going to start, and I will start off with my number 4 pick. And yes, believe it or not, this is the number 4 pick that I'm going with. Believe it or not, I think Captain America will finish 4th with the comic book movies of 2025, or at least the big ones. I think there's only these movies for comic. I don't think there's any other comic book movies coming out this year. But when it comes to comic book movies, I think Captain America is going to finish 4th, because honestly, this movie has gone through so many reshoots. I think it's going to have its lost identity. I think people are going to go into this movie. I think the trailers have looked bad. I think everything looks like it's been shot in the volume. I think it doesn't look good. It reminds me of Thor, what was it, Love and Thunder. like just the way everything looks. Everything looks like Thor: Love and Thunder, which was a very big turnoff. I don't think this story is going to resonate with anybody. I think when all is said and done, people just aren't going to want to really care about this movie. Do I think it's going to do well financially? I think it'll make over 500 million. How much? Over 500 million? Um, I don't know, but I don't think it's going to do all that great. I don't think it's going to do great when all is said and done. Now, obviously, there is 3 total Marvel movies this year coming out, and the other one that I would pick, and the next one is Thunderbolts. And here's the thing, Thunderbolts, I would have put number 4 originally until I saw the latest trailer. Excuse me. Now, this latest trailer that I saw, or that we saw, wasn't bad. Wasn't bad at all. And it kind of sold me on the movie. It made it look fun. It made it look like it's going to be a little, kind of take you back to excuse me, Marvel of old, like the old Marvel days. And sure, the poster looks kind of meh, but it really reminded me of Marvel of old. And I think Florence Pugh, David Harbour, those two alone have a great dynamic. I think that that's going to pull people in. You have what's his face who plays Bucky. I think that's going to pull people in right there. Sebastian Stan, you have him. I think there's enough here to pull people in, and if it's fun, word of mouth is going to keep it going, and I think it's going to finish even slightly higher than Captain America 4. I think it will be just slightly higher, not a whole bunch. I'm not saying this is going to be $1 billion movie, but I think just because this movie is going to be wacky and fun and action packed, I think it's going to finish higher than Captain America because it doesn't look bad like Captain America does. Like when I look at that Captain America trailer, it looks bad. It looks, like I said, like Thor: Love and Thunder. This looks like real world areas, real world sets. It doesn't look like it's shot on the volume. It doesn't look CGI heavy. This looks good. This looks fun and exciting. That's the two differences that I see in the trailers. Now, I could be wrong. It could flip. But in my eyes, I think this is how it's going to finish. It is. Man. Jay Kelly says, what was the budget for Brave New World? Well, I think the original budget was like 250, but I think it ballooned to like 500. And I'm not kidding. Like, I'm not just saying that. With all the different reshoots, I think it ballooned to almost like to almost 500. I'm not kidding. It's crazy. All right. Now, the next one. So out of the 4 so far, number 4, Captain America, number 3, Thunderbolts, number 2, best superhero movie of the year, I think will be Superman. Oh my gosh. Don't come at me. Don't come at me. Look, I know all of you. This is a DC podcast mainly, I know. And I'm excited about it. And I think it's going to do fantastic. And I hope that I'm proven wrong here. I hope that this comes out on top. But let's be real here. This has an uphill battle. Not because that it doesn't look good. Not because it's James Gunn. Because it looks good. James Gunn's a great writer, great director. Everything looks good. I mean, so far, everything looks amazing. But the general audience has checked out of DC. They checked out around 2021. So getting them to come back in to DC right now is going to be very, very, very difficult. Very difficult. So James Gunn has to do that. On top of that, on top of doing that, he has to also combat Jurassic World as well as Fantastic Four. Now, here's the thing. If Superman is good, and it's as good as we believe it's going to be, it doesn't matter about Jurassic World and Fantastic Four. Because if a movie is good, it's going to sell tickets. Plain and simple. If a movie's good, it's going to sell tickets. Full stop. So if it's good, those two movies don't matter. But if it struggles a little bit, if it's not quite as good as it needs to be, then it can struggle at the box office. Now, I know a lot of people say it's going to easily make $1 billion. I've been saying for quite some time, I think 700 million is roughly like that's the safe spot. 800 million is the high end for it. I really do. 800 million, I'd say, is the high end. Now, it can make more, absolutely, but damn it. But I really think that, like 800 million is right on for it. I do. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, that is damn good for Superman. That's pulling the general audience back. That's going up against two other most likely billion-dollar movies right between them in the middle of summer. I mean, you can't be mad about that. And that's exciting. That's exciting for the DCU for sure. And obviously that means that Fantastic Four will be the #1 comic book movie of the year. Now, that I hope isn't true. I do hope that Superman does take the spot. But I think that people are going to be really excited about this movie for a couple reasons. Now, this also has an uphill battle. One, because we've had 3 other Fantastic Four movies that really weren't good. They just weren't. Sure, we may have a little nostalgia, bubbles in our stomach from the one with Jessica Alba in it or something like that. But honestly, they weren't that good. And fans, though, when it comes to Marvel, are a little more forgiving because one, those movies they know were not part of the MCU, and two, they're longer ago. So these fans are a little more forgiving to go and see Fantastic Four than they would be to go see Superman because, well, the failures of DC are more relevant today than the failures of Fantastic Four, essentially, if that makes sense. And while, yeah, it could be a little tough to bring people in to see Fantastic Four, the Marvel Studios logo doesn't hurt it. You got that. You got Pedro Pascal, who is just a force in Hollywood right now. And I mean, honestly, the potential for Robert Downey Jr., potential for him showing up in this movie. Again, potential. We don't know if he's in it. We don't know if they're going to even show him in it at all. They're saying no, but there's potential. So the potential is also there. This movie could make $1 billion. I don't think it does. I think it's more around the $900 million. I think it's going to be more like a Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness because I think it's going to have a lot of promises and not deliver like that movie did. But I think people are going to go and see it in droves. And let's also not forget that I think this movie also hinges on how good Captain America and Thunderbolts is. If Captain America fails miserably, that's going to hurt Thunderbolts. And if Thunderbolts isn't good, then that's definitely going to hurt Fantastic Four. So, you have a lot riding on those two movies leading to Fantastic Four. So if those two movies are terrible and suck, that's going to hurt Fantastic Four. I mean, there's a lot riding on those two movies leading into Fantastic Four. So it's really interesting. It is an interesting concept, but those are my 4 movies. That's how I would list them. I would go number 4, Captain America, number 3, Thunderbolts, 2, Superman, number 1, Fantastic Four is how I'd rank them for the year. That's how I would do it. All right, let's see. Oh man, Jay Burns, Slav's a Marvel shill. Oh, get out of here. Critic Chris says he's nervous about the Fantastic Four movie, honestly. Critic Chris says it'll be between Superman and Jurassic World 4, probably. Again, I'm doing on my Monday show, I'm going to talk about the 5, I believe it's 5. Um, Let me see. I have my list started. Where is that? 5 films that could make $1 billion at the box office. So it's the 5 films I think can make $1 billion at the box office in 2025. So that's going to be my main topic. I want to get back to how my show is supposed to be on Mondays. I kind of fell off of that over the last few months of the year. So I'm going to get back to it, but where I have like a main topic that I discuss. So that's going to be the main topic for Monday. So that we'll talk about Jurassic World, Superman, and some other movies that could be honorable mentions or may not be on the list, because I'm sure people are going to want to say, hey, you forgot this movie or something like that. Jay Burns, I already see people making videos about Slav backpedaling on Superman. Geez, let's be honest, Jay. I have said from the very beginning, that Superman would not make $1 billion. I have said that. Despite how excited I am for this movie, I have been very consistent on saying that this movie will probably make around $700 million. I think I said at first, I think I said 6 to 7, but I have adjusted and gone 7 to 8. But I've been very consistent on that. I've been very consistent on not saying that it'd make $1 billion. Critic Chris says, I'm betting Superman will outgross Man of Steel. That's my bet. I've also said that it's a good possibility it would outgross Man of Steel myself too. Critic Chris says, well, I doubt Galactus will be a cloud again. Yeah, I don't think he will. I don't think so. Trevon says, I think the general audience was turned off to the DCEU bad movies, not DC to get altogether. The Batman made a whole lot of money considering the circumstances, and the Suicide Squad would have done well in the normal year. You're not wrong. We'll see, though. I think Superman's going to be the big tell for that. I do think it'll be a big tell for that. Hope for Life says, I'm okay with Superman being number 2 as long as it's good as it looks. I also don't understand why people say this will break 1 billion. I've been saying it for a long time. Hope for Life says it's going to make about 600 to 700, and that's good depending on how much the budget was for the film. You're not wrong. Trayvon says Superman's last movie, Man of Steel. Fantastic Four's last movie, Fantastic Four. Need I say more? Jay Burns says, I know, Slav, but you know how things get twisted to fit the narrative. I know. Critic Chris, Scarlett Johansson is the only cast member I know of in Jurassic World 4. And Mahershala Ali's in Jurassic World. He's in that too. So, yeah, you got that going for it too. Don't worry. Mahershala Ali and ScarJo to save some dinosaurs. Yeah, I don't know what they're thinking with that. I really don't know. All right, guys, this was a good show. We'll talk Batman, Superman. What's going to happen? Good show. I like back in the groove of things for 2025 moving forward. It's a good time. Let's see. Hope for Life says, what I've heard is that Fantastic Four is going to have a gender swap Silver Surfer. That is what they've been saying. I don't really like the idea of gender swap Silver Surfer. Now it says Silver Surfer. Now it says Silver Surfer from a different universe. Fine. So yeah. So Nora Rad, who is the original Silver Surfer, is a guy. This one is supposed to be what's her name? It just left me. I had it right there and it left me. It's the female version from a different universe is who it's supposed to be. So not technically gender swapped. Technically the version from another universe. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Will that turn people away? No. It won't. Shalabah. There it is. I knew I'd remember. See, I know my stuff. I just gotta. It's there. All right, guys. Great show. Thank you for stopping by. Real quick, gotta shout out my members: Uber316, Trayvon, Jessica on YouTube, Man It Was Time, and James Artist. Thank you all so much for being members. I gotta get back to member videos. Not the holidays are over. Should be able to get that done. And yeah, good show. Be there on Monday. Like I said, Monday should be a good time. Well, I'm sure we'll have some news. Apparently, there's rumor that we're going to get a Daredevil trailer on Monday. So if we do, I will be talking about that. So that should be exciting. And then, like I said, I'm going to talk about the 5 films that I believe will make $1 billion at the box office. So that'll be a fun one. Jay Burns says, a year of Superman on many Watchtowers before then. Exciting stuff, as well as much news from James Gunn, I'm sure. All right, guys, thank you all so much for stopping by tonight. I will talk at all of you later.